folks, what up? Roland Martin here. Oh my goodness, today's Roland Martin for December 18, 2018. Straight fire. Of course, Mike Flynn, he was in court today. He was supposed to, first of all, he pled guilty, and he was thinking he was going to get a sentence to no jail time. Oh, but this black federal judge in Washington, D.C., he said, nah, player. Folks, I got Monique Presley and Yodita Welday breaking it down. What happened in the courtroom today? You don't want to miss our conversation. Also, the NAACP today kicked off their hashtag log off Facebook initiative. I'll talk to you hear from NAACP CEO Derek Johnson. Also, you remember the sister at American University who became a university student body president, and then they attacked her. She's an AKA. They attacked her with hung banana peels and things along those lines. Well, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, they've gotten a settlement in that case, and the white supremacists is going to have to publicly apologize to her, call out other white supremacists. I'll talk with Christian Clark, who of course leads the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. And yo, what's up with St. Louis? Why y'all scared of black people in power? New DA Wesley Bell will get sworn in next month. Now the prosecutors, guess what? They want to join the police union. Tashara Jones, who is city treasurer, she is going to break down for us how racism, how white folks in St. Louis, for some reason, don't want to see black people in charge. Okay, folks, we've got a fabulous show for you today. You don't want to miss it. Special edition. I'm supposed to be off, but too much news is happening. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It was a busy day in Washington, D.C. as former Trump National Security Advisor Mike Flynn went before a federal judge pleading guilty to lying to the FBI. Of course, you might remember he got busted also for being a lobbyist for a foreign government, took thousands and thousands upon dollars. Now, his attorneys, they've been saying all kind of wild stuff, saying, oh, he got entrapped by the FBI, and then this was bad, it was wrong. Well, here's the problem, y'all. No, that wasn't the case. He goes before this federal judge today, a brother in D.C. He was having none of it. It was a wild day. He got his sentencing postponed because the judge said, you need to spend more time cooperating with the FBI. So I had to call our legal analyst, Monique Presley and Yodita Welday, to break down what happened in court. Yo, seriously? It was a crazy, crazy day. I got two black attorneys talking about this black judge. Here's our conversation. All right, folks, here to break down today, Mike Flynn in the court. We're joined by legal analyst Monique Presley, Washington, D.C., and we have Yodita Welday, attorney, and also, she's also a judge, y'all. I don't know what they were thinking in Dallas, but okay. And she says legit, that is real. And she's actually a judge, like a robe and everything, and not bought.
You're talking about Michael Flynn.
And not bought at the store. So, shocking. So, all right, let's get right to it. First of all, yo, this black judge was not playing around today, Monique.
No. And all I can really say is this is one of those moments. It reminds me of that scene in Pretty Woman when Julia Roberts goes back after she had been clowned and she walks into the boutique and she's like, you work on commission, right? Big mistake. Huge. I don't understand what Flynn's lawyers were thinking about when they were in front of the Honorable Emmett G. Sullivan, and they thought that there was going to be some sort of skate, and just because everybody else agreed, when they did that clown memo where they're like, oh, but it really was a conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. Listen, this is the same Judge Sullivan who was over the Ted Stevens trial. This is the same Judge Sullivan who a few months ago turned a plane around in midair He does not suffer fools. I have appeared in front of Judge Sullivan for 2 years in a hotly contested case. He called 4 members of my office to testify while the case was going on. He doesn't play with the government. He does not play with the Justice Department. He doesn't play with, I'm surprised he didn't try to add the treason count himself. I could see him. I can almost see his hair just kind of standing up on its head. I didn't even have to be in court. I know what happened.
So your D, it was a trip watching this whole thing play out because this was sort of like in track where somebody walk your ass down. Like you've got this like huge lead and then somebody like just straight sucks you up and walks you down. He was sitting there going, so why y'all didn't charge him with treason? And then he was like, you were national security advisor. And he was just, okay, so let's talk about entrapment. Everything that his attorneys were saying, he got entrapped by the FBI. He basically forced him to admit, no, they didn't entrap me. No, I'm not here against my will. He was walking him down step by step, yo, D.
Okay, so here's the infuriating part. When you enter into a plea deal, what you're doing is taking accountability. You can't then say it's because of being entrapped, it's because I was intimidated or coerced. When you take a plea deal, a judge is going to ensure that other than the plea bargain, you're pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty. You weren't intimidated, you weren't coerced. Other than what was promised to you in the plea deal, you are pleading today purely because you are saying, I did it. And to say anything else would force a judge to say, well, then you have to withdraw your plea and set it for trial, because what you're saying is, judge, it's because of this, that, and the other. And so you're essentially saying, I'm not guilty. Set it for trial. Number 2, why are people shocked by this judge? One, I think the judges, or the lawyers, like Monique said, they dropped the ball. When you go before a judge, you should already kind of know what this judge is about. You prepare for what the judge's temperament is. Number 2, the judge has the ultimate say, even if you have a plea bargain. They have the ultimate say. So what you should prepare for is for it to go either way. So I'm not sure why people are shocked. Maybe the things he was saying, cool. He was saying that Michael Flynn was basically a POS because of what he did. That's fact. I'm not surprised that he said it. It is fact. So for him to admonish him and tell him that he was wrong is quite normal. Now, him adding the whole treason part might have been inflammatory, but I don't see anything shocking by what the judge did.
So here, Monique, here's what I love. I can sort of visualize in the courtroom where the judge was sort of leaning. But okay. I'm gonna now visualize Roland's courtroom, and so this is I'm the judge, and you leaning back, you going. So y'all thought y'all were gonna mosey y'all ass up in here, and you thought since the prosecution recommended no jail time for you, that I was going to go ahead and go along with that bullshit. Okay. All right. And so he walked him down and he basically said to him, Monique, you sure you finished cooperating with the federal authorities? He basically was saying to him, I would advise you to spill everything you really know, because I'm going to send your ass to jail. So unless they come back to me that you spilled a whole lot more, guess what? I'm going to send you to jail right now. And that's why he asked him, do you want me to, suspend the sentencing so you can finish cooperating with the feds? That's just the sense that I got, Monique.
It wasn't a sense. He didn't basically do it. He did it. He asked him 3 separate times. First, it's my understanding, he asked him multiple times, are you sure that you want to enter this plea? And that's basically, as long as they've been discussing this, Flynn had already allocated a lot of things that already happened where all of this should have been pro forma. But again, because, and I hate blaming lawyers, but because these high post lawyers, it's hubris, it's arrogance. Government attorneys in front of Judge Sullivan never would have done something like that, because they know whatever it is you think you're coming in here to do, you're in my room now. And whatever it is I decide to do is what goes. And so he asked 3 different times, maybe you want to delay this. Maybe you're not finished cooperating. Maybe, and by the 3rd time, apparently the lawyers got the hint, asked for a break, went to revamp, came up with that very nice letter. But see, why would they have done what they did? And see, here's the thing. It's not just that they sent in that hellish memo. It's that they forced Mueller's hand because then they had to check him and push back. Like, now, wait a minute. Yeah, he cooperated, but nobody was coerced. He knew he was lying. And again, Sullivan, former prosecutor, former Superior Court DC judge, former Court of Appeals judge, now federal judge, please. He takes this very, very seriously, and they got in front of the wrong black man today. That's
and your D, final one on this. Again, I think the way the conversation went, his lawyer was like, say, Mike, everything we told you before, don't none of that count. So whatever you holding back, player, I'm going to need you to reveal everything to the feds, because this man going to send your ass to prison. You and your 3 stars. He going to send you to jail. I'm just letting you know. I mean, it was amazing reading the tweets of the people who were in us, the people who were, of course, in social media, as I was reading the tweets, and it was just like going one by one. I was going, woo-hoo, dog, you are in some serious trouble. They had to recalibrate quickly.
But what happens if he doesn't have anything left, Yodi?
Oh, he got something left.
What happens if he's empty? Because they've said he fully cooperated.
Yodi, go ahead.
To add more, he needs to come back into his memory and pull something. I'm not saying make anything up.
Right.
But his pre-sentencing investigation report has to look different from today's and in March. So I'm still confused as to why his sentencing was scheduled before he fully cooperated. I don't care how many meetings he's had with Mueller. There's still so much to tell. And I do believe that he felt like, I'm going to get my plea today. I'm going to walk out of here and I'm done. And I don't have to really cooperate with the government.
Yo, D and Monique, I'm telling y'all, he didn't fully cooperate. To me, that was their way of saying, you know, you got some more stuff to say.
Who? The judge?
No,
No, the government was fully satisfied. They were going in there and saying we're not recommending jail.
No.
So the judge wasn't. Whatever was redacted, whatever he saw, he wasn't fully satisfied. He said you have 3 more months to make some stuff happen, because I'm telling you right now, if you want to be sentenced today, you're going to be clanked.
That's my point. That's my point. And my point is, he's going to go back and be like, okay, yeah, you know, there's some stuff in the deep recesses that he really didn't want to reveal. He's going to have to turn over some stuff to satisfy his judge.
And I think a lot of people felt like the judge might have done him a favor. I think the judge also did the government a favor, too, because he's saying, you have more. They need more. So both sides, essentially, he's free to walk home and go home and sleep in his bed tonight. And the prosecution, they're just going to have to wait and see whatever he comes up with. Some people may argue that he may be pressured to make something else up. I don't know. You know, the president's calling Cohen a rat when he's, you know, not said a thing about Flynn. And Flynn is actually admitted to lying under oath to FBI. So I don't know what he would call him, but it's going to be funny to see how Trump is going to characterize him in the next several months if he comes up with more things. And now Trump is going to say, oh, well, he's a rat too. So, you know, he's just trying to get out of, you know, going to prison. But it's just going to be interesting to see what this judge does in March.
Well, Monique, I got to say, considering the fact that Trump has appointed basically 90% white male judges to the federal bench, it's just got to be something that this black judge is whooping that behind.
Power to the people. I don't know what to say about it. I've been in front of him a number of times. He is not an unfair judge. He can run hot, and they caught him wrong today. So the one thing they need to do before they come back is pray. Pray that it's not another run hot day. Sometimes he'll go back, he'll think about it, and, you know, it might be better. But he gave them a chance, because it wouldn't have been one of those Cohen things. Today's the day I want my sentence. I don't have anything more to say. I'm not going to fully cooperate. Just give me my time and I'm going to roll out of here. And then he ended up with 3 years, but at least now he's done.
Okay.
Sullivan was cute.
Mind you, and they could have gone to court today and completely kept quiet, like Monique said, but they had said something in that motion by talking about entrapment. Entrapped. The judge had to address that, because you're coming into court now and you're saying that you want to take this plea deal, but your attorneys just mentioned just the other week that this might not be as clear cut as you guys are trying to make it out to be. Now you're saying that you were coerced in some way. We got to establish that.
But remember, the FBI, that is law enforcement. And there's nothing, and look, if you're a federal judge, there's nothing to me more offensive to you. And he basically said it. He not basically said it. Here you were, the national security advisor, lying in the White House, working for a foreign government, 3-star general, and you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to walk into my courtroom and then have your lawyers talk about how, oh, you were entrapped, you didn't know you were lying, you were in the Dominican Republic on vacation, and all that nonsense on Fox News. The judge is like, no. I'm gonna make you stand right here and come out your mouth that everything your lawyer said up until now was a damn lie. And Flynn had to, yep, okay, not entrapment. I knew I was lying.
He didn't want him to drop that plea. He said yes. He knew he lied.
Yes.
Period.
So everybody on Fox News, y'all gotta come up with some new stuff, because everything y'all been saying for the past week, Flynn just wiped out in court.
They're saying that he was trapped now.
Okay. Well, guess what? You can't say a man was trapped when the man himself admitting I wasn't trapped. That's how it goes. All right. Monique Presley, your D12 day, we'll appreciate it. Ooh, I can't wait to see the next person who go in front of the brother judge. This is really the people's court.
As long as it's not me, I wore my government blue just in case he's watching.
All right. All right, folks. I certainly hope you enjoyed that legal analysis. Certainly different from what you're hearing on all the rest of these cable networks. All right, folks. Now it's time for a word from one of our partners here, Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right, folks. Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Now, a word from one of our Roland Martin Unfiltered partners. You've heard me say it before, and I will say it again. Write down this website, marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. I'm going to tell you why it matters. Legal marijuana has grown to become a $9 billion industry in roughly 6 years. Forbes magazine predicts the market will continue to grow to nearly $50 billion in the next 10 years. So whether you like it or not, legal marijuana is a growing industry, and it is only going to get bigger. Now, if you're an investor, you get it. You look for business models that are easy to understand in industries that are trending up. Our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate made their business very simple. They buy land that supports legal marijuana operations and lease it to high-paying tenants. So you are investing in the landlord of a licensed marijuana farm. Stop working so hard for your money. Let your money start working for you by investing in the legal cannabis industry. You can invest as little as $300 up to $10,000. But you can't wait. This crowdfunding opportunity is only available for a few more days. They say that you either make things happen, watch things happen, or sit around wondering what happened. Don't be the person watching and wondering. Don't let another investment boom get away from you. It's time to make something happen for you, your finances, and your family. And don't forget my pro tip. To be included, you must complete and confirm your application. And be sure to complete the process. Go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game, folks. Do it now before time runs out. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. It was a little troublesome at the White House, of course. Sarah Huckabee got asked lots of questions. And so this was the drama today at the presidential briefing. I thought y'all probably want to take a look.
John. Sarah, reaction to the delay in the Flynn sentencing and the rather unusual inquiry from Judge Sullivan this morning asking prosecutors if Flynn possibly committed treason?
The delay is something between General Flynn and the courts, and that's something for them to determine what that timeline looks like. In the meantime, we wish General Flynn well, and we'll continue to focus on doing what we do here every single day.
What about the inquiry as to whether he committed treason? Does the president see any reason why Flynn should be asked if he committed treason?
I'm not aware of anything that we would know of that would indicate that, certainly.
Sarah, I was in the courthouse last hour when the Judge Emmett Sullivan basically said that he was disgusted by Michael Flynn's crimes. He said that he had disdain for Flynn. Flynn said that he knew that it was illegal to lie to the FBI, and he was ready to accept responsibility. This was all before agreeing to a delay in the sentencing. Given that, are you in a position now, or would you like to revisit your comments earlier today that the FBI ambushed Flynn?
No. We still firmly believe, look, the things that may have taken place, again, that's for the judge to make that determination, whether he engaged in something inappropriate. What we do know that was inappropriate by own self-admittance of James Comey is that the FBI broke standard protocol in the way that they came in and ambushed General Flynn, and in the way that they questioned him, and in the way that they encouraged him not to have White House counsel's office present. And we know that because James Comey told us that, and he said that the very reason that they did it was because the only reason that they did it, it was the Trump administration, and they thought they could get away with it. Those are facts, and certainly there may be other issues there, but that we don't have any reason to want to walk that back. Sager?
Very quickly about Michael Flynn. He has cooperated with the special counsel's office and met with him 19 times. Is there a particular reason why the president has not said that he is a rat, the way that he has said that Michael Cohen is a rat for cooperating with prosecutors?
Look, we know Michael Cohen to be a liar on a number of fronts, and the president's opinion is extremely clear on that front. I don't see any reason to go beyond that comment at this point. And Josh, go ahead.
Michael Flynn today tweeted that he did lie to the FBI and to them repeatedly, and that he was working for a foreign government during the campaign. Does that concern the president? I mean, he seems to be concerned that Michael Cohen is a liar. Does he concern that one of his top aides lied to the FBI and was working for a foreign government?
Not when it comes to things that have anything to do with the president. The activities that he has said to, and again, we'll let the court make that determination, to have engaged in don't have anything to do with the president. Let's remember what the whole thing that this started is supposed to be about. It's whether or not Russia influenced the election and whether or not the president had anything to do with it. We know that Russia tried to create chaos within the election, but certainly not that they actually impacted it. The only reason that the president is the president is because he was a better candidate and beat Hillary Clinton. We also know that the president never colluded with Russia. So that's the whole reason that we have this, and we know those things to be false.
Is the president concerned that Michael Flynn lied to a representative of his own government and was working for another government during the campaign? Is that concern him or not?
Look, there's certainly concern, but that's something for the court to make that determination, and we'll let them do that.
Positive comments about him when he's pleaded to this.
Again, we're going to let the court play that out, and they'll make a determination on whether or not he engaged in something right or
Why is
wrong.
the president making positive comments about him, given these things that he's pled guilty to?
It's perfectly acceptable for the president to make a positive comment about somebody while we wait to see what the court's determination is. Francesca, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Sarah. I just wanted to clarify one thing and then move back on to the border wall. But the clarification on Michael Flynn, you said it has nothing to do with the president, but one of the things that the judge brought up today was that it was so concerning to him because Michael Flynn lied inside the White House as the national security advisor to the president. So is the White House disputing at this point that Michael Flynn is a liar? Because that's also the reason that he was fired. He was fired for lying.
We're disputing that any actions he engaged in had nothing to do with the president. That just because maybe he did do those things, but that doesn't have anything to do with the president directly.
You've been saying a lot that things don't have anything to do with the president, and he's just giving his opinion, and he has a right to give his opinion. But does he not have a broader right, responsibility as far as, if his national security advisor is lying, should he not be speaking on behalf of the American people, not just himself, President Trump, man under investigation, but, in all these aspects? You're talking about saying that he is just speaking for himself and he's not been linked to collusion is the claim, and therefore, it doesn't matter what he says. And the same thing with
That's
the
not what I said at all.
Fed, that his comments on the Fed have no bearing. He's just giving his opinion. What about him speaking
They
to
have
the
no
American
bearing.
people?
I said he's the president of the United States, and he should not only does he have the ability to give his opinion, he should give his opinion. That's why the people elected him, is because they trusted him to make decisions on policy matters. They want to know what his positions are on specific policies. He absolutely should state his opinion on not just that, but on every topic that comes up that he wants to engage on.
But a lot of people who are somehow involved in investigations feel the FBI is unfairly targeting them, but the president normally has a different role
We
as
know
far
for a
as...
fact that the FBI engaged engaged in an outrageous amount of political bias. The fact that anybody could deny that there was political bias within the FBI, particularly under James Comey's leadership, is frankly just laughable.
I guess I'm wondering, using terms like rat and things like that to talk about people who are cooperating witnesses with the FBI.
Or people who are dishonest and lying.
Does
I
he
mean,
not have a broader
seems like a pretty
responsibility
appropriate
to preserve confidence in the rule of law for the American people?
Certainly, and that's why he has appointed new people to help do exactly that, whether it's Director Wray, a new Attorney General, somebody that can come in and be very transparent throughout this process.
Let's go to NAACP. They launched today their hashtag log off Facebook. And this initiative, of course, is in response to Facebook privacy issues and them also attacking Color of Change, another civil rights organization. And Derek Johnson, the CEO of the NAACP, I had a conversation with him where he talked about exactly why they're launching this, asking everyone to log off of Facebook and Instagram. Facebook also at Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're not live streaming or tweeting or posting anything on Facebook or Instagram in alliance, in lockstep with the NAACP. So here's that.
All right, so Derek, first off, when did you decide to do the hashtag log off Facebook?
Well, we decided on Thursday after reviewing the most recent activities of Facebook. And when you think about all of the things over this past year and their lack of timely responsiveness, we felt it was time to take action.
And with this particular initiative, obviously it started today, and you want it to last for a week. What message are you trying to send to Facebook?
Well, African Americans must be respected. When corporate behavior rise to the level where they are hiring outside firms to do opposition research on partner organizations, when they allow their tool to be used by a foreign nation to pretty much subvert democracy by suppressing black vote, we must speak out forcefully, say that is not acceptable.
And obviously, look, when I put the message out saying that we also were not going to be streaming for a show, there were people who said, man, I hadn't even heard about this. And so in terms of response, what are you also hoping folks do with the response? Because, logging off, not using Instagram or Facebook is one thing, but what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, the corporate response is important. The level of urgency for Facebook to remedy the harm they created in 2016 as a result of the ads that was placed on their system, the fact that they will hire a outside conservative firm to do opposition research, they need to act swiftly to change their corporate culture. In fact, today there was released a civil rights audit report. When I spoke with Facebook, I've talked about the importance of that audit report to be raised at a C-suite level. It should be buried 3 levels down in the organization. The recommendations need to be adhered to, and their whole corporate focus as it relates to African American communities and civil rights must change.
And when you talk about that particular report, when you and not just that report, but also the impact on the 2016 election, we also now know from the Senate Intelligence Committee report how Russians targeted African Americans utilizing Instagram, utilizing Facebook, and the company has been highly criticized for not doing enough to stop it, even when they knew it was going on.
But it's time for Facebook not only to take corrective action, so this action will not continue, but they also must repair the harm that they created. They need to promote more diversity within their C-suite, their board, so you have individuals from the African American community in decision-making positions so these type of bad acts won't repeat itself. They also need to partner with groups around content to ensure they're promoting positive messages around democracy, inclusive electoral politics, and to drive a message that African Americans should fully engage in the civic engagement space.
Well, and that content issue is something that's important because, first of all, obviously 2020 election is going to be happening, and this also boils down to voices that African Americans can trust when it comes to delivering news And I've talked to them. The fact of the matter is, they funded these various news shows. None black media, only a couple of them even have an African American co-host. And so you have these platforms. So to me, what I keep saying is the way you counter fake news is actually emphasizing real, credible news.
Now that you don't emphasize it, you sponsor, you underwrite it, you ensure that the platform is available and the voices necessary to deliver critical messages to our communities are properly positioned so they can remedy the harm that was created. Roland, we're looking at Facebook as a platform has a monopoly. And now it's time for that monopoly to be a good corporate citizen with a community that over-index usage on their platform. And because they created a harm, the remedy is to create space and support positive content that promote African Americans to be civically engaged, not only during the election time, but all of the opportunities leading up to the election.
And so, last question for you. This hashtag log off Facebook will last for a week. Then what happens after December 25th?
Well, part of what we wanted to do is raise the level of this conversation so we can create a new sense of urgency within Facebook to fix the problem. And I think we've done that. Just the announcement of the hashtag log off, you're promoting it, but then the Senate report coming out on the heels of us calling for that has now created a new dialogue and urgency for Facebook to correct the wrongs they've created.
All right, Derek Johnson, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, folks, that was Derek Johnson, NAACP CEO. Another big story. Remember the story of American University student? She was a sister. She was elected student government president, and then she was targeted because of her race with the Lawyers Committee. They took up her case, and they actually achieved a landmark settlement using a very interesting legal strategy. Earlier today, I talked to Kristen Clark. Of course, she's the CEO of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. And here is our conversation about that legal victory they achieved. All right, so Kristen, so tell us about this settlement, this American University case. We all remember when this story happened, but for folks who don't know, just give us the backdrop.
So Taylor Dumpson is an amazing young African-American woman. She was elected as the first Black woman president at American University. And the moment after she won that election, the Daily Stormer and a number of white supremacists and neo-Nazis unleashed a horrendous campaign of racist trolling against her. They hung bananas on campus that said, AKA free. Which was a reference to the sorority that she belonged to. They called her gorilla. They used racist language at every turn that made her experience at college a horrendous one. She suffered. She had a hard time concentrating, a hard time eating. She suffered from depression, and this impacted her ability to be a young, thriving student and a student leader on campus. We decided to take Taylor's fight up, and what we did was we used a unique strategy. The Washington, D.C. laws here were very helpful. There's a public accommodations law that says that you've got the right to enjoy equal access to public accommodations in D.C., whether you're talking about restaurants, hotels, or college campuses like American University. And so the settlement that we announced today is a landmark settlement that focuses on one of the perpetrators and requires that he issue a public apology, requires that he undergo rigorous training to purge white supremacy from his system, requires that he carry out 200 hours of community service and more. At the end of the day, we can't just sit back and let this let white supremacy rear its ugly head again in the future. And so the rigorous terms of this settlement will hopefully leave us in a better place and safer place at the end of the day. Taylor is happy with the terms of this settlement, and we hope that it'll be a model for how we can stamp out white supremacy going forward.
And when you talk about stamping that out, first of all, we've seen other legal victories against these hate groups in the Southern Poverty Law Center. Of course, historically, they've gone after these groups as well. And first of all, forcing this guy out of the shadows. I mean, he has to show himself and reveal himself.
That's right. He's going to issue a public apology, which is something that Taylor has been waiting for. She's now moved on to law school, and we're looking forward to seeing her on the front lines of the fight one day. But I can't tell you how much she suffered at the hands of these racist trolls who made every day of her experience in college a difficult one. And it really speaks to the fact that the racism and white supremacy that we saw a century ago in this country is still alive and well today in 2018. And we hope that the perpetrator here will have a heavy hand in going after his counterparts, helping to expose his counterparts and helping other people who might be ready to leave the white supremacist movement find an exit door.
Also, this should be an important signal to people that they should not just take these things lying down. That they should be very aggressive in going after these white nationalists. We are seeing a significant uptick in their activities in the age of Donald Trump, and the goal should be to really use every remedy to go after these organizations, these individuals.
That's right, but I do want to underscore that at the end of the day, the targets and the victims are in a real precarious position, and we can't forget that. At the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, we have made the fight against our hate crime crisis a priority, a top priority, and we have a project, Stop Hate, that's anchored by the 844-9 No Hate hotline. But it is hard for people to stand up if they don't have resources or an organization that's willing to stand behind them and have their back. They were insightful in the words that they used. They threatened her. They made her fear for her life. And it's hard to expect everyone in a situation like hers to stand up and have the courage. We were glad that she was able to do so do so here. But we had her back every step of the way, and we're prepared to stand with other victims who are facing hate in our country today. African Americans remain the primary victims of our hate crime crisis in the country, and we're here to stand with them and fight back.
All right, Christian Clark, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
All right, folks. Glad to have you back. So the other day I was on Twitter and I saw this tweet from Tashara Jones, and she, of course, is the treasurer there in St. Louis. Remember, she ran for mayor. You had all these brothers who were running. None of them had a shot. She barely lost the mayoral race. She could have actually, won if you didn't have 4 or 5 other black people who were running. Well, that was the case. Well, anyway, so she had this column in the St. Louis American, and I saw it and I said, "Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy." Where she detailed all these things that are happening when black people are elected in St. Louis that want to change the rules. And so it was in the St. Louis American, the black newspaper there, and I reached out to her and I said, look, we got to have this conversation on Roland Martin Unfiltered, because frankly, nobody else is having it, which is the reason why we have this show. And so here's my conversation with Tashara Jones, being city treasurer.
Tashara, first off, it was very interesting. So I saw this column, Fear of Black Leadership, in St. Louis, and I had previously seen the story of the prosecutors wanting to join all of a sudden, because of Wesley Bell's election, wanted to join the police union. But man, when I saw these other things that you cited in here, in terms of the city circuit court attorney, the sheriff, I mean, it's as if there's massive white fear in St. Louis of black leadership.
Right. All of those things happened within the last year to 18 months. These are not recent. I mean, these are not things that have happened over several years. All of this is recent, when the power has changed hands, either, from a black male to a female, or a white elected official to a black elected official.
And was interesting with this Wesley Bell situation. And so you're trying to tell me, so Bob McCullough was the DA for all of these years, and these prosecutors had no issue working underneath him, but all of a sudden the black guy becomes a DA, and not only are they saying let's join the union, but they want to join the police union. Were there other unions they could join?
Yes, there are several other unions here that represent public employees. AFSCME, SEIU, the Carpenters Union even represents public employees in St. Louis. So they could have chosen any other union, but they chose the police union.
And so, do you believe that this is very clearly a reaction to a black man, Wesley Bell, becoming the district attorney?
Clearly, it's a reaction to that. I mean, I don't see any other way to look at this but through the lens of racial equity and racism. And
so, when you, as I look at some of the other items that you laid out here, like for instance, I thought it was really interesting. This Vernon Betts situation. He becomes the sheriff, and so the previous sheriff got to make patronage hires, and then all of a sudden Betts becomes the sheriff, and then he has to get approval from circuit judges?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. He couldn't even hire a chief of staff when he started without approval from the circuit judges, who had no problems with the previous white sheriff who had been there for 30 plus years and who he hired. But now all of a sudden it's a problem when Vernon's elected.
And so what are you saying to black folks in St. Louis in terms of how to deal with this? Because look, you ran for mayor, and then you barely lost that particular race. You even cite an example where some gadfly got no attention whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, the white power structure wants to listen to that person.
Right, exactly. There's this guy that's been suing the treasurer's office for years, and then all of a sudden now he has an audience. The mayor joined the lawsuit along with her city councilor, and then they convinced one of the circuit judges to give them a ruling in their favor, trying to strip away power from my office. So, I'm bringing receipts. There's a serious problem going on, not only in St. Louis, but, nationally, when we talk about what's happening in Wisconsin, in Michigan, Georgia. So, there's obviously a fear anytime a black person gains access to higher office. So we've got to band together and we've got to start fighting back.
And what do you propose in terms of how to do that? What are you saying to black folks there in St. Louis? What should happen next?
Well, I mean, just like with the circuit attorney's issue, she had to go all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court in order for them to tell the circuit judges that she doesn't report to them, that she's an independently elected official. She is an attorney, and they don't, and they have to respect that. We need to use whatever means that we have at our disposal to start challenging a lot of the things that happen here, and and our people need to also take, elections have consequences, and we have to take every election seriously. And as we're seeing, these local elections matter more than national elections.
When you talk about the issue with these circuit court judges, are there any African American circuit court judges?
There are a few, yes.
And do you believe that what African Americans should be doing, just like when it came to the DA's race, they should be looking at electing more black circuit court judges?
Well, we don't elect circuit court judges in St. Louis. We have a nonpartisan or so-called nonpartisan court plan where they are appointed by the governor. But that's only in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and Kansas City. Everywhere else in Missouri, they elect their judges.
Wow.
So that's another issue that we can dive into at another time.
So you have judges elected in every other place in Missouri except the two cities where you got the most black people.
Exactly.
Well, look, it certainly was eye-opening to all the people who are out there. Again, if you go to the St. Louis American, the column is called "Fear of Black Leadership in St. Louis" by Tashara Jones, written, of course, for that. She, of course, is the city treasurer for the city of St. Louis and former assistant minority leader for Missouri House of Representatives. It's certainly an eye-opening piece there. I certainly hope the black folks in St. Louis will begin to exercise their power and also vote in massive numbers. Now, when is the next mayoral election?
Next mayoral election is not till 2021, but we have an important race coming up on March 5th, 2019, which is our council president.
Okay. And is
So-
that, and who's actually, any African Americans running for that? What's happening for that race?
So there are 3 people in that race. 2 are African American. Jamila Nasheed, she's our current state senator. Lewis Reed, who's the incumbent. He was one of the men that was in the mayor's race. And then there's also Megan Green. She's part of our city council.
Got it. Okay. So that upcoming race is in March.
March 5th, right. We need to show up like we did, in November. We had 60% turnout. We need to have that turnout or better for this election in March.
All right. Tashara Jones, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
All right, folks, crazy conversation, but I certainly do. Y'all was certainly enjoying that. All right, folks, here are a few headlines. Stacey Abrams was narrowly defeated, of course, for Georgia governor by former Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp. But in the last few days before the election, Kemp charged that the Democrats tried to break into the state's voter database. A major charge which may have had effect on the election. Turns out that was a damn lie. The Land Journal-Constitution did a sweep investigation and discovered there was absolutely no evidence whatsoever of any illegal activity by Democrats or the Democratic Party. What we like to call the Republican assault on democracy. Yeah, y'all, seriously. He straight up lied. He flat out lied. Also, speaking of lying, same thing happened in Florida. Andrew Gillum narrowly lost the governor's race to former Congressman Ron DeSantis. Both DeSantis and Donald Trump were very loud in charging that Andrew Gillum was, as Trump put it, a crook. DeSantis went on and on about it, saying the FBI investigation into the Tallahassee city government, where Gillum was the mayor. Well, guess what? The FBI investigation is over, and Gillum was not involved, implicated, or charged. Did that swing the close election? Many people say it did, but bottom line is Andrew Gillum got screwed. And I'm guessing no black people work at the company called Prada. Yeah, folks, they need a huge backlash on social media to know exactly what was offensive and inappropriate to actually do some absolutely ridiculous I don't know what the hell they even call those things, okay? And were they not paying attention to what happened with Megyn Kelly? Yeah, that was pretty stupid as well. And so they've had to apologize as a result of these items they actually pulled that was on sale. But again, it was pretty stupid. Them saying, well, we didn't know this was like a big deal. You didn't know that you selling some items or trinkets that were black people in blackface was not a bad idea. Yeah, Prada, y'all pretty damn stupid. All right, folks, speaking of someone who's not stupid, in entertainment, Channing Dungey, y'all might remember, she, of course, was the first black entertainment president at ABC. Well, she left the company a couple of weeks ago, and guess what? She signed a huge deal with Netflix. She is going to be, of course, VP of original content, looking over the content being produced by folks like Shonda Rhimes and President Obama and Michelle Obama. It was a huge deal when she left ABC, and now she has a bigger deal over at Netflix. And you might remember, you also have Kenya Barris, who, of course, the creator of Blackish, who also signed a $100 million deal over at Netflix as well. So congrats to Channing Dungey. So those are our headlines there. All right, folks, we certainly thank all of you for watching. Don't forget to support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Here's what's about to happen. We're going to have, first we got a couple of things going on. And so remember, my show is on hiatus right now. And so my staff were off. And so, but still, if anything happens, of course, of interest to black folks, we, of course, will come on live. I'll come on live anywhere from where I am just to bring you the news. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, of course, on Tom Jordan Morning Show. Again, support us at Bring the Funk fan club at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, y'all have an absolutely fabulous day.